Hello everyone, this is yours Trivia, and welcome back to another faction preview for Total War Warhammer 3, as we're covering Skrag the Slaughterer today. Now Skrag is the second legendary lord for the Ogre Kingdoms DLC, and since we already covered Greases yesterday, we're not going to be repeating ourselves regarding the shared Ogre Kingdoms mechanic in camp, meet, and contracts. Instead, we'll focus on what makes Skrag unique, starting with his faction and lord effects. So looking at his faction effects here, we have campaign movement range plus 10% for all characters. This is actually super lovely. A good quality of life improvement for all the characters, including lords and heroes, for Skrag's faction. Then in terms of heroes, we're focused on butchers. There are 3 different hero types for the Ogre Kingdoms. Butcher is one of them, and the other 2 I believe are hunters and firebellies. Hunters are actually the easiest one to get, because for butchers and firebellies, you actually need to have the camp building leveled up quite a bit to gain access to them. So we get 1 free capacity here, and plus 2 starting rank for the butchers. We'll also get a butcher pretty early on, so we can take a look at the stats. In terms of lord effect, for his own army, the specialty is about gorgers, which is a very cool unit. It's a pharaoh ogre type. They're pretty effective, they're unbreakable, they're pretty powerful as well. We get 8% additional replenishment for them and 50% less upkeep, which is a pretty significant amount of savings, so Skrag can definitely take advantage of that. Now Skrag, despite his appearance, is more or less a spellcaster. He's known as the disciple of the Maul, the prophet of the Great Maul. He was kind of tossed aside to die there, but he fought his way out. He's mutilated not by his own choice. He's hauling sort of a cauldron of food behind him. It's strapped onto his back with hooks. It's not a pleasant experience, but many ogre believe that he has seen the Great Maul, which is revered as a god for them, and he's kind of wandering around. He's not liked by the other ogres, where he was tossed to kind of die. And that's why we're all the way out here on the southwestern corner of the map. We're deep inside the Empire territory, and will be surrounded by dwarfs and humans in the beginning, far away from the Mountain of Morn where the other Ogre Kingdom factions lie. So it's going to be a very interesting start. We're not close to the demons either, which tend to be more in the north, and we kind of just have this area to ourselves with the older factions from the previous games, and that's going to be a pretty neat little starting position for us. This is going to be our setting, nothing to say here really, and let's just hop into the campaign and take a look at our motivation, which unfortunately uses the same cinematic as Greases, so it's not going to make a lot of sense. This is sort of a combined cinematic situation similar to Grand Cathay, but at least for Grand Cathay, both of the Legendary Lord appear in the cinematic. Here, only Greases appear in it, so it's going to come off as a little bit weird, but it's fine.
The ogres feast to honor Greasus the Over-Tyrant. Their appetites are ferocious. I must be wary.
Time's up, wizard.
No!
Put him in the stew.
Wait! Wait! Untold power can be harnessed from a dying god.
Power? Ogres take what they want. What more power do we need? Boil the pot! Fresh meat!
Please wait! The god is up there! You can't devour it!
Quiet! A bear, you say?
Sounds tasty.
Shut up! A new meat. God flesh.
Enough for you, your warriors, and your god, the Great Maul.
I can smell it now. Roast god ribs.
A feast like no other.
You're no meat eater. What's in it for you?
My book reveals a path to his deathbed. I will show you the way for one drop of Ursun's divine blood.
One drop, but ogres get the rest.
That is the deal. Our goal is to claim Ursun. The ogres will eat their weight in god flesh and throw the leftovers into the Great Maw.
Oh, Great Maw. What should I do with this piece of gristle? Does it go in the pot? No. Listen. First, we listen to him. Then we can eat him.
If you need meat for your pot, then we should start with the dwarfs, Great Prophet. The Carracks will be tough to crack, but the taste is surely worth it. Further along the pass lie ruins. The Tome of Fates tells me that Skaven hide within. There isn't much flesh on the vermin, so you must slay plenty to fill the cauldron. And where the Grey Mountains end is the true treasure. Marienburg, a city rich in gold and supple flesh. Beyond lies the Empire. So much blood for your pot. Enough to summon the rifts and hunt for god meat in the realms of chaos. Of course, it is possible to bypass the dwarfs and head straight for the heart of the Empire, which is ripe for plunder. But perhaps that's a riskier strategy. Listen to your gut, Great One. Let its rumble guide you, and together we will seek Ursun and finally sate the Great Maw.
Alrighty, so we do have a very interesting start as we got first glimpse of the Emperor himself, Karl Franz, who starts right next to us. We literally border Altdorf, and we can go take it if we want in the beginning. It's walled, it's pretty high level, but the recommended path is go through the dwarf and the Skavens, and then come out over here into the human factions, and then work our way back. We are not at war with the Empire in the beginning. We are at war with the dwarves, and they're the first army we have to fight. Now, before we take that fight, we can take a look at our opening diplomacy. Don't expect much here, even though we can trade with the whole world. There's no limitation to pathing between capitals in Warhammer. There is just no one willing to trade with us or make any sort of deal with us in the beginning. So we're just kind of on our own, and that's perfectly fine. The tech tree is the same, so we're not really going to cover it. We definitely need all the ones that can give us camp. I believe there's at least 6 on the tech tree here, and we're not going to have any extra one from our character. Previously, when we looked at... Oh, they're just so talkative. Previously, when we looked at Grease's skill tree, we saw that he has the best camping skill that can give him another camp, which is pretty valuable for the Ogre Kingdoms. But in our case, we're sort of improving ourselves quite a bit here, increasing hit point, increasing winds of magic, because I said we are pretty much a spellcaster here. And then we have walking larder for more winds of magic for the reserve. And then we have increased melee attack, increased weapon strength. So a lot of skills bolstering ourselves. Lucky Nobblers, which is shared between both, providing 5% physical resistance. And we're also blessed by the Great Maw, giving us spell resistance as well. Then looking at what else is unique for us, we are focused heavily on Gogers, and we can summon them here. Increase campaign movement by another 8% compared to or added on to the 10% that we get faction-wide. Very useful for our own army here. Prophet of the Great Maw, more winds of magic, more cooldown for spells. The Maw Feast, the offering cost for armies using meat to the Great Maw is reduced by 20%, so they'll go down to about 8. Pretty significant discount if you want those bonuses. And then Cavern Dwellers, we actually have a pretty high, improved chance of intercepting armies using various methods to traverse the world, underways, beast path, or world routes. And then the rest, we're not really going to showcase the lore of the Maw, different spells you can use. You can use the spell browser to check them out. and the rest is pretty standard, boosting your units, boosting campaign mechanics like more movement and corruption and so forth. We do have our assorted list of big names. Win a battle against an army led by spellcasters, use processed meat post-battle for the captive option, end your turn with over 50 meat in your army, win 5 battles, and we can pick up various amount of bonuses. This one's actually pretty interesting because it does give us improved relationship with all factions and another 8% campaign movement range on top of that, or it can be meat focused with these here, or just be more magic focused, which seems to play quite well with our setup in the skills. In terms of quest battles, we do have one at rank 10. We get that Cauldron on our back, Cauldron of the Great Maul. It'll give us 5% upkeep discount, -5 corruption in local province, +3 melee attack, +3 melee defense, and the passive ability. This is the good one here. So we'll pick up a passive regeneration area ability that affects the whole map and durations forever. And the units that are affected by this are gorgers, which makes sense because we have a bunch of bonus for the Lord's effects with relating to gorgers replenishment post-battle, as well as the upkeep discount. Here in battle, with each kill that is made by the unit, they get improved attack up to 20%, and there is a passive 0.2% per second heal on all gorger units. So they make gorgers even better. Once we pick up our quest item at rank 10, gorger really kicks it up a notch for our army. We actually start out with quite a few of them, and in case you didn't see the unit roster overview, we can kind of review them right here. The cool thing about them is, one, they're unbreakable, and two, not only are they unbreakable, they pick up Frenzy. So Frenzy will always be active on them because leadership will always be higher than 50%. So essentially we're getting a 10% boost to attack damage, 10% additional boost to charge bonus, and then 8 points of melee attack. On top of that, they have all the standard, they have a lot of traits. Siege Attacker, Resiliency from Attrition. This is just kind of campaign bonus. Causes Fear, Stock, very, very nice. Vanguard Deployment and Stock. It's pretty insane actually. Wallbreaker, and we're Gorger. This just means we get the target effect from the item that he has and any other ability that could affect us. Weapon Strength, it's 30-70 with most of it being armor piercing. Multiply everything by 10%. The bonus is not going to change. It's going to be 20 points of bonus against infantry. Quite good against what we're surrounded by dwarves, skavens, and humans. A lot of those are infantry units, so this will shine quite well. We get 10% additional charge bonus. I believe 8 more points of melee attack, bringing it to a total of 52. Very, very high. Good speed, obviously low armor, but pretty healthy. And we have decent amount of mass at 1500. So that's going to be sort of our setup. We will fight this first battle just to show them off a little bit. The rest of the army is pretty standard here. And we're going to just fight the dwarves. Not a very strong army. Dwarf warriors and a miner. So pretty easy fight here. We do have a Saber Tusk pack in here. It's introducing the units on both sides. It's random most of the time. I don't think it's actually trying to pick out the units on both sides. We'll be crushing them. We'll skip the channeling. We'll just deploy. So we do have 4 units that can not only guerrilla deploy, but all have stock, I believe. Yeah, so we don't even need to be in the forest. We just have stock. We can take the high ground and then flank them. We might want to move them a little bit forward. We can throw the trap on the ground. They do have that access to kind of slow down the enemy. Everyone else will charge the nobblers up. And I think we're just going to use this to chase down routed units. We do start out with 2 spell. A debuff of enemy leadership. And a buff for extra damage.
Servant of the Maw, or go or more. Master of the meat pot. Scrag, the slaughterer.
Let's see if we can move into position. Oh, is trap ability not active? How do we use this hex? Can use if not moving.
For him.
I don't see it. Interesting. Little weird.
Take it all.
They're not gonna chase me. I'm pretty fast.
Serve the ogres. Off we go. Yeah, yeah. Boss says so.
All right, we're just gonna move everyone up. Gonna do a little bit of debuffing here.
I ain't no gobbo.
Move them back. Get a
boys.
flank charge here. Occupy their lord.
Find
Where's that guy in the forest?
Swarm together.
We'll find a couple of different angles.
Dragging the cauldron. Oh God, now. Arise,
We're coming out.
Drive on the move. Slaughter. When do we eat?
The one thing about Gorger is they can rampage on you if they take too much damage. Alright,
When do we
rear
eat?
flank there.
I ain't no gobbo. The more commands.
I'm gonna boost them.
Slaughter.
Send them over. Flank that.
This way. Sure thing.
Okay, I'm gonna pull them over here. Gonna just let the saber tusk chase them down.
Here we go. We's ogre mates. Hungry. Overwhelm them.
I'm gonna come over here. Help them out. The Nobblers. The Nobblers are actually very slow. I think we'll send one of the Gorgers over. I don't know if we can actually find a charging angle here. It seems like we have them swarm pretty hard. I could pull the Nobblers, I guess. Give them something more difficult to fight with. And we'll just make sure that we drop their leadership. That should rout them right away. There we go.
Here we go. The more that walks.
Yeah, we're gonna set the little guys off. We don't need them to be crowding us here.
Take it all. Where's the meat?
The two ogre units are actually not that strong. They're very basic units. Yeah, we have all our fast units giving chase. Should be pretty simple here.
Relentless.
I wonder if we can boost ourselves. Yes, we can. Okay, so we're gonna just take the damage here.
Me.
Make sure we stay on top of that. No, 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 don't get dragged into the fight. Get out.
This way.
He should be picking up some army loss very soon.
Slaughter.
I mean, if not, we can try to drop him a little bit. 16 points is still quite significant. 16 or 18? 16. Not enough to get him out, though. Stubborn dwarfs with the 8 point of leadership. It's going to bounce back once that goes away. Man, I could send more. There we go. He's finally given up. And we got our victory. Yeah, pretty effective. Definitely a spellcaster. Lots of spells to use. A lot of ways to maintain our winds of magic. Yeah, mostly Nobblers getting killed, so the number isn't anything, because it's 160 per unit here. They're gonna die. Their job is to die for you. Picked up some meat. We're gonna process some meat. Dwarfs are very meaty here. And that's gonna give us a couple of our big name available for those who are curious.
Scrag. Slaughter.
The Gore Harvester.
Sermon.
Now, I'm more curious about this butcher here. So, of the three type, the hunter is kind of my favorite because it does all the right things on the field. It's the easiest one to get because on level 3 settlements, which is basically the max you can get as an Ogre Kingdom faction if you're not in a camp, you can get basically a lot of hunters because the building is readily available. They can assault garrisons, assassinate, assault units. So basically, they're kind of like the spy from the older Total War games, and they can help you take settlements quite easily with assault garrison. In the army, they improve your mobility, giving you more campaign movement range. On the field, just standing there gives you growth, which is all very nice. But for butchers here, if we take a look at it, it's much better in an army. So butchers can give you replenishment rate. On the field, they will cleanse corruption. You can use them against enemy settlements to improve your research rate. You can wound enemy heroes on the field, and you can hinder enemy army replenishment. But here, they sort of function as the patriarch role for the Kislev, giving a large percentage of, replenishment really helps your army out. And that's pretty much it. I think that's only thing that's slightly unique about us is the very interesting start position all the way in the southwestern corner, next to a lot of old factions that a lot of players from the previous Total War games, Warhammer games, will be very familiar with. And we are very different from Greases in that we are more of a spellcaster and are focused on gorger units. Aside from that, nothing else really. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this faction preview. And with this, we're also going to be wrapping up every single faction available on launch for Total War Warhammer 3. Hopefully all of you found these previews helpful. And with only 2 days to go till launch, who will you play for your first campaign? As for myself, it seems from the community post poll that we have up on the YouTube page, we're going to be most likely playing as Mel Ying for our first campaign on day 1. Things could change, but the votes not exactly close, so the favorite daughter it is. And I'll see all of you guys then. Bye!